Late one night, a woman was at the hospital visiting her ailing daughter when something completely unexpected showed up in the background of her footage. According to the family, they were the sole occupants of that floor at the time, which makes the whole thing even harder to shake. Whatever the camera picked up has had viewers going back and forth ever since. A dark...
Oh, hello. Very gorgeous.
shadow-like shape suddenly darts across the background. It happens so quickly that it's almost impossible to catch, leaving what was recorded wide open for debate. A viewer who wished to remain anonymous reportedly sent a chilling dashcam recording to the YouTube channel D's Dark Adventures, captured during a late-night drive. The man was making his way along an isolated rural road, nowhere near any homes or other vehicles, when something in the darkness ahead caught his attention.
What does this lady do? Excuse me, you need help?
Drawing closer, he makes out the figure of a woman walking by herself in the dead of night, and then it hits him. She looks like she's drenched in blood. Worried about her safety, he slows to a stop, lowers his window, and calls out to ask whether she's okay. Her response is a blood-curdling scream.
What the?
Then he notices something that makes the whole situation even more horrifying. The woman appears to have no eyes at all, just hollow, pitch-black voids where they should be. Overcome with fear at what he's witnessing, he floors the accelerator and gets out of there. He would later tell people he contacted the police, but responding officers found no trace of the woman anywhere. So what exactly happened out there? Was this a real person in desperate need of help, or did he stumble across something far darker on that desolate stretch of road? What would you have done in his position? A Reddit user going by the name Night Lazy Strawberry, whose real name was Ilana, posted a video that rapidly caught the internet's attention. Ilana explained that her father-in-law had been dealing with a string of inexplicable incidents inside his house, things he simply couldn't account for with any rational explanation. Over and over, he'd come home to find objects displaced around the property with no obvious cause, so he decided to install a security camera in hopes of finally getting some answers. But rather than putting his mind at ease, the footage only deepened the mystery. A shuffling noise suddenly broke the silence of the room. Moments later, one of the closet doors burst open with force, slamming back against the wall. After a short pause, that same door drifted closed on its own, and then almost immediately, the door on the opposite side began sliding open, as though something invisible had reached out and pulled it. Inside that closet sits nothing but a washer and dryer, leaving virtually no space where someone could be concealed. Ilana also noted in a detail that's hard to shake the closet light flickered throughout the whole incident, despite the fact that that light has never actually functioned, not before the recording and not at any point after. Whatever was behind those moving doors appeared to have no trouble exerting serious force, which honestly means it's more than capable of throwing in a load of laundry while it's at it sometime around 3 in the morning a father living in Mexico was jolted awake by his daughter, who was visibly terrified. She told him she kept hearing the voices of children somewhere close to her room, and apparently this wasn't the first time it had occurred. Worried about what might be out there, the father stepped outside to check the surrounding area himself, see what his camera picked up.
Páusale eso.
Sí. ¿Dónde está el no detrás? Se escuchan ruidos de niños hablando.
A ver, ven, amor. La verga, se me da miedo. Cállate, José Chuy, cállate. Cállate, no. ¿Dónde escuchaste la voz? Pero se escuchan voces.
¿Risas?
A ver, prende el foco. Espérate, José Chuy, no te asomes. ¿Dónde, hija? ¿Atrás dónde?
Allá.
A ver, apaga el foco, no se mira nada. Apágalo.
No se mira nada.
¿Dónde más?
Allá.
¿Qué quieres ver, José Chuy? Ay, vete a la...
¿Qué es eso?
Espérate.
¿Qué es eso?
No sé. ¿Qué verga es?
No te agarro la cámara bien.
¿No me agarran? No sé.
Papá, ¿qué es eso?
No sé. Vete para allá ahorita, siéntate en la cama.
Mamá, ¿qué es eso?
¿Qué es eso? No mames, ¿qué pedo con la pinche cámara? ¿Sí mira?
Es que no se mira nomás.
As he filmed out into the pitch black night, something unexpected caught his eye in the distance. Just beyond the tree line, two small shadowy shapes appeared to be moving around. What makes the clip especially eerie is this objects further back in the frame stay relatively sharp and visible, yet these figures look unnaturally dark and seem to flicker in and out of view as they shift around. The family is convinced they may have recorded something beyond any rational explanation, though a more ordinary cause can't be completely ruled out. So what's your take? What do you think those mysterious shapes actually were? Late one Sunday evening, a dialysis clinic had nearly cleared out for the night. The time was close to 11:40 p.m., and a single patient was still on the premises. Two nurses working the night shift were preparing to escort her to the pickup area before the facility shut down. Outside, somebody was digging through the clinic's dumpster, causing enough of a commotion to catch everyone's attention. Just as Josephine and her colleague were about to head out and investigate, something deeply unsettling unfolded right where they were standing. Without any warning whatsoever, the woman seated in the wheelchair lets out a scream and throws her hands over her face. Something had clearly frightened her badly. Josephine later recounted that the patient insisted she could see a figure standing directly in front of her, though there was something deeply wrong about the way it looked. She described it as distorted and said it appeared to be moving in her direction. The nurses were completely puzzled because, as far as they could tell, nobody was anywhere near the woman. Then something caught their eye in the reflection on the television screen. A dark shape becomes visible beside the woman in that reflection, and then it disappears. Shortly after, that same shadowy form shows up directly behind her. This sequence implies the figure had somehow gotten even closer, despite no one being visibly present in the room. Whatever that patient encountered, it shook her enough to make her cry out in fear. Josephine noted that the nurse's first instinct was to assume the woman was simply imagining things, But once they reviewed the footage themselves, that explanation didn't hold up so easily. Some who watched the video suggested it could be the spirit of a former patient who had passed away, though no one could say for certain. The way that elderly woman reacted speaks for itself, and yet there are still no real answers. It remains completely unexplained. Late one night, a vehicle was making its way down a pitch-black, isolated highway carving through a thick and oppressive forest. The headlights cut through the darkness to reveal unsettling structures made of twisted branches lining either side of the road. They looked like crude, ceremonial markers, as though someone had deliberately arranged them to draw unwary travelers into something sinister. And there, positioned beside the very last one, something nightmarish was lurking in the dark. Crouched along the shadowy roadside stands a hooded, humanoid figure gripping a tall wooden staff. Its pale, expressionless face stays downcast as the vehicle tears past, not reacting, not even glancing toward the glaring headlights. Surrounded by those disturbing wooden formations, the motionless figure appears to have been frozen mid-ritual, as though caught in the middle of some dark occult ceremony. Some skeptics argue it could be a costumed performer or a strategically placed mannequin, set up to create a terrifying viral moment. Too shaken to even consider stopping, the driver tears off into the night, abandoning the figure to the consuming blackness behind them. So was this nothing more than an elaborate and deeply unsettling roadside stunt? Or did this driver accidentally stumble into something genuinely evil taking place deep in those woods? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. We're heading to Jerusalem for a clip that countless viewers are already describing as a genuine act of God. The footage was recorded just last month, on January 19th, 2026, during a service held at the renowned Church of the Ascension on the Mount of Olives. One of the congregation members was filming the ceremony on their phone, simply wanting to preserve the memory. But when they played back the recording, what they found left the entire parish shaken. Keep your eyes on the area behind the nuns who are leading the service, because something extraordinary moves through the back of the room. A figure passes by, but this is no ordinary person. It radiates such a blinding glow that no facial features, no distinguishable details, nothing can be made out at all. It is, quite literally, a luminous presence in motion. Now, skeptics were fast to dismiss this as a lens malfunction or severe overexposure from the daylight streaming in. But take a harder look. This was shot in the middle of the afternoon. Those nuns are standing no more than 2 feet from the glowing figure. If the camera were overexposed enough to reduce a human being to a sphere of pure light, everything around it, the nuns, the walls, the entire scene should be blown out as well. And yet none of that is the case. The exposure on everything else looks completely ordinary. That's exactly why so many members of the congregation are pointing to this as a miracle, evidence of a guardian angel present during the service. So what's the truth here? A trick of the Jerusalem sunlight caught on a phone camera? Or did this worshipper unknowingly record something from another realm entirely? The videos you're about to see all come from the account displayed on screen right now. That account belongs to a guy named Nick, who has made it his mission to document the unsettling experiences he keeps having at work. Nick is an employee at Swirls and Twirls, a well-known self-serve dessert spot situated in Massapequa. He's convinced the place is seriously haunted, and he's been uploading footage of these creepy incidents to prove it. Judge for yourself what's going on.
I don't get it. Is there a reason that you're doing this right now? Okay, so this is what I... No way. Bro, like, I just caught that literally right in front of me. Come on. Yeah, you... Okay. What's going on? stand this. I really don't. Oh my god. 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 Okay, we need to get the lights on. Please come with me. Please come with me. Please go to the switch. Go to the main panel. Just go to the main panel. Okay, turn them on. Turn them on. Turn them on. Okay, like on. Okay, maybe let's. Great. If we don't give it any energy, okay, just come on. Hurry, 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 hurry. Just hurry. If we don't give it any energy, then we'll be okay.
Thank you. Oh my god.
Where was that banging coming from? Nope, it's coming from the walk-in. It's literally coming from the walk-in. Like.
Oh my god!
Okay, 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 okay. No, come on, I'm not getting stuck in here again. Hold on, just don't feed it energy. Don't feed it energy. Okay. I would. What? Okay, I'm really fucking scared. Okay. Get the lights! Get the lights! Get the lights! Bro. Oh my god! I'm sorry, I just literally punched you.
You take out the feeded energy.
I'm not.
These kinds of events tend to occur almost exclusively when the store is either just opening up or winding down for the night, and always when Nick is there by himself. On a separate occasion, here's what his camera picked up.
Okay, we have literally been open for 12 minutes. There is so much stuff happening right now that I don't even understand it. So I'm going to show you. No one's on the cameras. There's stuff coming from the attic and in the walls again. And if you look it up, the store next to us doesn't exist. They went out of business. No one's here. Hello? Hello? Did you hear the knock? Hello? Can you knock again? It's honestly a great day to be haunted. I'm just recording right from Insta. I don't know if the machines are so loud, but there's so much knocking coming from the attic. This is insane, like literally. Okay. I'm gonna throw up. I'm not ready for this. It is too early for this. We're not even open. Hello? Is there a reason you're so active right now? My Jesus Christ! What the fuck is that? I can't fake that. Holy cow. Okay, wait. I'm gonna try to do one continuous video proving that nobody's up here. Oh my god. Oh my god, I have goosebumps. Wow, this ain't even a TikTok. Okay. I'm just... Okay, it literally just stopped. It literally just stopped. Okay, can't show the code. Can't show the code. Something literally flew off the wall. Bro. Spirit, is there a reason you're so upset today? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Jesus. I don't even know where to go. Okay. Holy, look at this. I'm a little actually scared right now because this is in the morning. We don't usually experience.
He's been putting out footage of these unsettling moments for a good while now. So what's your take on what's going on inside this dessert shop? Could it genuinely be haunted? Or is there a more rational explanation behind all of it? And here's the real question, would you actually show up for a shift at a place like this? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Our next clip comes from a young woman who goes by Naya, and she's describing what she believes was a ghostly encounter caught on film. She says the footage was recorded during a stay at her grandmother's house in 2014, and for years she kept it completely to herself, too unsettled to share it with anyone. Eventually, though, she decided to post it online, hoping someone out there might be able to explain what she experienced. Naya says she was lying in bed alongside her grandmother's dog when she noticed the animal kept gazing up toward the ceiling. She had no idea what had caught its attention. The only things up there were a ceiling fan and a few sticky flytrap ribbons dangling from it. But when she looked up herself, she realized the ribbons were swaying. She grabbed her phone and started recording, determined to prove she wasn't imagining it. And that's when things took a turn. Shortly after the dog slips out of the room, the bed Naya is lying on begins to shake. She and her cousin bolt upright, both convinced they're feeling an earthquake, but nothing else in the room is moving, not a single object, only the bed the two of them had just been sitting on. Shaken, they rushed to find the grandmother and asked whether she'd felt anything, but she had no clue what they were talking about. That left Naya and her cousin with a deeply uncomfortable question. If it wasn't an earthquake, then what was responsible for that shaking? Looking back, Naya now believes the dog didn't leave out of random restlessness. She thinks the animal sensed something was off, and that it hadn't been fixated on the flytrap ribbons at all, but on whatever unseen presence had been making them move. 3:26 in the morning, November 11th, and a security camera inside a private hospital in Buenos Aires recorded something that no one has managed to account for. One thing needs to be established up front. This is an actual functioning hospital. People walk through its doors every single day seeking medical care. That's precisely what makes the footage feel so deeply unsettling the first time you watch it. At that hour, the building has gone completely quiet. A single guard on duty, alone at the front desk. Then, without any warning whatsoever, the automatic doors at the main entrance slide open by themselves. Those doors operate on one principle only. Something with genuine physical mass has to pass through the sensor range. That's how the system was built. So there's no reason those doors should be parting over what appears to be thin air. The camera covers the full entrance, wide angle, perfectly clear, and not a single person is standing there. The doors open completely, pause for a moment, then glide shut again, on nothing at all. What happens with the guard after that is where everything gets strange. He rises from his seat, grabs his clipboard, and crosses over to hold the patient barrier aside for someone to pass through. His lips are moving, he's clearly speaking to somebody, his head tilting in exactly the way it does when a person is waiting for a reply. He nods along as though responding to whatever's being said back to him. One hand lifts and gestures further into the building, the same motion a front desk worker makes when directing a patient toward the elevators. Strip away the fact that nobody's visible, and you'd be completely convinced this man was deep in conversation with someone standing right in front of him. Roughly a minute into the encounter, he retrieves a wheelchair and extends it toward whoever he believes is there. This is the moment people keep returning to. Scrubbing through it frame by frame, the wheels shift, the footrest moves, only a fraction, barely perceptible, but the movement is real, and the guard's hands aren't touching it. Whatever he's offering the chair to appears to decline it, because moments later he collapses it back down and returns it to its spot. Just before the footage ends, he walks back to his desk and records a name in the patient register, the log every hospital maintains documenting who entered and at what time. When staff went back and reviewed that same log for that window of the night, it was blank. No entry existed for that hour whatsoever, and the name he had written down belonged to a patient who had passed away inside that very hospital the previous day, meaning whoever stepped through those entrance doors in the early hours of that morning had already left the living world behind. The guard had no way of knowing. He treated them exactly as he would any person wandering in for help in the dead of night. The camera captured every moment of it. What it never once captured was a man named Noah purchased a 138-year-old home in 2021, a property originally constructed back in 1887. Not long after settling in, Noah started encountering what he believed to be paranormal activity throughout the house. He reported seeing shadowy figures drifting through rooms and would return home to find doors he had locked now standing wide open. Digging into the history of the property, he uncovered that the house had originally been owned by a man named Judson Hood, who had served as the mayor of Lancaster, South Carolina. Even more unsettling was the discovery that all 4 of his family members had died within those very walls. The mayor's wife, Mary Polk Hood, passed away in October of 1917 after tumbling down the staircase, the exact spot where most of the strange activity now tends to concentrate. On one particular night, Noah was jolted awake by an unusual sound and quickly grabbed his phone to capture it on camera.
Hello? If you can hear me, please stop. Why are you going faster? Oh, fuck no.
Heavy, rhythmic banging erupts from somewhere on the ground floor, close to the base of the stairs, before cutting off without any explanation. This unsettling pattern repeated itself every few nights without fail.
If you could just please stop. I'm trying to sleep.
As time went on, Noah grew increasingly frustrated with being woken up by these late-night disturbances. One evening the sounds returned, and rather than staying put, he made his way downstairs to investigate, and what unfolded next is genuinely hard to explain.
Are you trying to say something? Or are you just trying to fucking keep annoying me? Oh.
A voice with no visible source can be heard uttering something that resembles the word hello, seemingly right beside Noah. These bizarre incidents persisted for an extended period, and then roughly 3 years in, a fire mysteriously broke out inside the home. A rug had somehow ignited, and the incident was covered by local news outlets at the time. Fortunately, a passerby spotted the flames and the fire was brought under control relatively quickly, with limited damage to the structure.
I'm like, what the fuck?
I did too. I literally went inside.
With firefighters conducting a full investigation and still being unable to identify any cause, and with everything else Noah had witnessed, a deep sense of dread began to take hold. He had come to believe that the spirit of Mary was the force behind the haunting, and that the fire had been a deliberate attempt on his life. Recognizing just how serious things had become, Noah made the decision to pack up and leave before anything worse could happen, and as it turned out, that was exactly the right call, because shortly after new owners moved in, something devastating occurred. The house erupted in flames once more, and this time there was no containing it. The fire tore through the entire structure, reducing it to a scorched skeleton of damaged framing. Again, investigators could not pinpoint what had started it. The only detail they were able to confirm was that the blaze began at around 3 in the morning. Mercifully, the new family escaped without injury. So was it the Hood family, all of whom had died within those walls. Making their presence known to the end, drop your thoughts below. The next clip comes from inside a private residence, where something genuinely unsettling was reportedly caught on camera. The person behind the footage doesn't just own the home, they also share it with a whole pack of dogs, every one of which they treat as part of the family. These aren't just pets to them, they're basically their kids. But just like children, those dogs have a habit of doing things that send a chill down the owner's spine, whether that's fixating on a completely empty corner of the room or growling at something no one else can see. It's the kind of behavior that's hard to explain away. For a while, the owner tried to brush it off, chalking it up to nothing. But after what happened next, that explanation no longer felt convincing. In the footage below, the owner is home by himself when the camera picks up something that stops him cold.
Here. Wow. Happens all the time.
And this wasn't an isolated moment. It was simply the first time he actually managed to record what both he and his wife had already been living with. These mysterious knocks don't follow any pattern, they seem to come from different parts of the house at random. Then, on a separate occasion, his wife is home alone when her camera captures this.
It just happened again and the dogs are freaked out. Get it. David, come over here. Get it. You be right there. Something opens that door, you need to get him. Oh my god, I don't know if it's gonna happen again. It just happened again. Move, 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 move! Nobody there. The dog stopped barking now. Davey's freaking out by the door though.
Once again, no obvious source for the sound can be found anywhere. The couple isn't shocked by that at all. As far as they're concerned, whatever is making that noise isn't something you'd be able to see. Between the dog's strange reactions and everything else they've experienced under that roof, they're convinced something beyond explanation has taken up residence with them. But as with so many cases like this, the mystery refuses to give itself up. Whatever this couple has been dealing with, it remains unanswered. A woman named Natalie, living in the UK with her family, claims that unsettling things have recently begun occurring inside their home. She explains that the family has been carrying out renovations on their older property, and she suspects that all this disruption may have awakened something within the walls, something dark and unwelcome. Then one night, while her son is fast asleep, this is what the camera recorded. Some invisible force appears to seize Natalie's son by the ankle and drag him clean off the mattress. The boy wakes up in distress and, almost as though he's addressing someone only he can perceive, cries out, "I don't like it. No."
No.
Natalie says her son then came sprinting into her bedroom in tears, telling her there was a man standing in his room, and yet, as the footage clearly shows, no man was there. So the question remains, what exactly grabbed that little boy's leg? That's for you to decide. A journalist covering flood damage suddenly found herself in the middle of something absolutely terrifying. This footage was originally broadcast by a Peruvian television news channel back in February 2023. In it, a reporter is shown during a live segment speaking directly with residents who had been impacted by devastating flooding that swept through Peru and took many lives.
Juegos infantiles se salvaron de la furia de la naturaleza. Los columpios sube y baja quedaron.
She captured footage from multiple locations throughout her coverage, but one particular recording stands out because of something deeply unsettling that showed up on camera, something that is genuinely hard to account for. See for yourself.
Del asentamiento humano Santo Domingo, Comité 6. Mira la escalera. ¿Cómo podría bajar aquí una persona, un anciano? Los niños, ¿cómo podrían bajar? ¿Podría bajar aquí una persona, un anciano? Los niños, ¿cómo? Una persona, un anciano.
As the journalist swung the camera toward the base of the staircase, the lens accidentally caught a figure moving in a deeply unnatural manner. Its overall silhouette is vaguely human, yet its arms are strikingly thin and abnormally elongated. Whatever it was, it clearly wasn't a person, but it doesn't match any known animal either.
Una persona, un anciano. Los niños.
The reporter herself had no idea the figure was there in that moment, but viewers watching the live broadcast at home were completely stunned by what they witnessed. Many locals in the area are convinced that the figure is the spirit of someone who lost their life in the floodwaters, but what's your take on it? A Utah family was relaxing in their living room one evening, watching TV, when out of nowhere something completely unexpected unfolded. Watch this very carefully. Their dog, which had been resting calmly on the floor, was suddenly shoved by some unseen force powerful enough to startle the animal, sending it yelping and bolting straight to its owners for comfort. The family can't explain what happened, but they say ever since that moment, their dog has been at the center of a series of strange incidents, and on a separate night, their home security footage caught something else entirely. A phone sitting flat and stable on the armrest of a chair abruptly drops to the ground on its own while the dog is nearby, and moments later, an object on the table shifts and falls with no apparent cause. The family has started to wonder whether something may be following their dog specifically, but without any further developments to go on, this case is still wide open. This clip follows Eric Awad, a man who booked an Airbnb in Red Lodge, Montana, and found himself caught up in a string of unsettling incidents that led him to believe something deeply disturbing was sharing that space with him.
Waiting here all day, nothing's happening. It seems to be chill, but I don't know. Whatever, man, I'm gonna go eat. That is hysterical. The second that I go to... Literally, I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes, nothing. No!
For Eric, the region's dark past may have played a role in what was unfolding around him. Red Lodge was built on a foundation of mining and loss. Back in 1943, an explosion at the Smith mine claimed the lives of 74 workers, making it the deadliest mining disaster in Montana's recorded history. Over time, accounts of strange voices, shadowy figures, and unexplained occurrences wove themselves into the fabric of local legend. Eric isn't sure whether any of that connects to what happened to him, but after his experience inside that house, the thought became impossible to dismiss.
There's no one in here! There's no one in here. There's no one here! Jeez!
The opening nights brought doors shifting on their own, mysterious knocking, and a deep vibration that seemed to pulse up from somewhere beneath the floor. Then, in the dead of night, he discovers the door to the basement standing wide open. Despite everything he'd already heard and seen, Eric makes the decision to head down and investigate, and within seconds he starts to regret it.
What the fuck? Hey, who's down there? Seriously, if you throw anything at me this time, I'm gonna f you up. Man? You're a fucking coward! What do you fucking want? Shit! Hey, let me out! Let me out! Let's get out of here!
The moment he reaches the bottom, the door swings shut behind him. He rushes back, yanks at the handle, throws his weight against it, pounds on it over and over, but he's completely sealed in. Things get desperate enough that he eventually stops filming just to focus on finding a way out. Once he finally escapes, Eric chooses to remain in the house, and after continued sounds of footsteps and strange noises, along with odd movement throughout the rooms, he tries a different approach. He sets his phone down to record and simply sits in silence, waiting. It doesn't take long before something stirs near the hallway. Eric snaps his attention toward it, but this time the sound isn't alone. Something appears to be staring back at him. At the far end of the hallway, a dark shape roughly the size of a person is barely visible, almost swallowed by the shadows. Eric spots it immediately and moves toward it. For a brief moment, the silhouette can be seen drifting into another room, but when he arrives, the space is completely empty. Maybe every one of these moments has a rational explanation on its own, but after apparently being sealed inside a basement and then catching a figure lurking in that same house, it's not hard to see why Eric walked away from Red Lodge certain that something else had been there with him the whole time. The ocean harbors creatures that the vast majority of people will never lay eyes on, and then researchers stumbled upon something that seemed like it had crawled in from an entirely different planet. Nearly 3,900 feet below the surface off the coast of New Zealand's South Island, a team of scientists encountered a freshly hatched ghost shark, a creature so seldom witnessed at this early stage of development that even seasoned marine biologists were left speechless. And this is no ordinary shark. Ghost sharks belong to an ancient evolutionary branch that diverged from modern sharks and rays hundreds of millions of years ago. Their bodies are built primarily from cartilage rather than bone, lending them an ethereal, translucent quality that gave rise to their haunting name. But what truly set this find apart wasn't just the species itself, it was the timing. Catching a ghost shark so shortly after it emerged from its egg gives scientists an extraordinarily rare window into a creature that spends virtually its whole existence concealed in the crushing darkness of the deep sea. At those kinds of depths, sunlight never penetrates to the ocean floor, which makes any kind of direct observation almost impossibly difficult. Every single encounter with one of these animals hands researchers a piece of the puzzle that no laboratory or controlled setting could ever provide. This next clip was posted to a YouTube channel called Party All Night back in 2015. The person who uploaded it claims the footage originated from a security camera inside a psychiatric facility and that it documented a series of disturbing events centered around one of the patients. It spread rapidly across the internet due to the unsettling nature of what it seemed to show. All throughout the footage, the patient exhibits deeply troubling behavior. He seems agitated, wanders off on his own repeatedly, curls himself into a ball, and crouches behind his bed as if he's trying to escape something that nobody else can see. At certain points, you can even hear him letting out screams that suggest he's in extreme distress. Shortly after that, the security camera begins picking up something far more difficult to explain, including what appears to be the bed shifting across the floor by itself. The moment that really stops you in your tracks comes toward the very end, when the patient seems to be lifted off the mattress and raised into the air. No verified explanation for any of this has ever come forward. There are those who believe the man was in the grip of something supernatural, while others are convinced the whole thing was carefully set up. So what's your take on what this camera actually recorded? TikTok user uploaded a clip describing how he found himself alone on a woodland trail in the middle of the day when things took an unsettling turn. He brings up a well-known rule among experienced hikers when the sounds of the forest suddenly disappear. That silence is a warning sign.
He was right there.
As he pushes further down the path, an eerie noise rises from somewhere deep among the trees. It doesn't sound like any recognizable animal, and instead carries a warped, almost human quality that puts him on edge immediately. What makes the footage particularly chilling is that as he breaks into a run, the sound doesn't grow faint behind him, the volume stays constant, as if whatever is producing it is matching him stride for stride. The clip cuts out with him still sprinting through the trees, that haunting noise trailing him with no clear source or explanation. Once it was posted, the comment section split into two camps almost immediately. One group felt the sound could be a real person somewhere out in the woods who needed help. Their argument was that if it was a human cry, the hiker had a responsibility to stop and check rather than flee. Others pushed back hard on that idea. They pointed out that heading toward an unidentified sound in a remote forest is exactly how people get themselves into serious danger. A few commenters even raised the possibility that the noise came from an animal capable of mimicking human sounds, or something deliberately trying to draw a person in. Ultimately, the video leaves everyone watching with a question that isn't easy to answer. If you were out there alone and heard something like that, would you go looking for the source? Patrolling a vast, empty school building alone at night is already the kind of job that puts your nerves on edge. But for one security guard, a single shift would push him far beyond anything he thought possible. Tasked with walking the hallways after hours, he begins experiencing a creeping sensation, a persistent feeling that something is trailing behind him. Strange noises start echoing through the building, and he decides to pull out his camera.
Les digo, y estoy yo solo.
Eerie sounds reverberate along the corridor as he moves cautiously forward. His anxiety climbs with every step he takes, right up until the moment he records something that sends a genuine chill through him. Then, cutting through the silence, a muffled scream rings out from somewhere deeper in the building. The guard is rattled and struggles to make sense of what is going on. He decides to dig into the school's past and uncovers a disturbing detail. Reportedly, 2 students lost their lives in those very hallways years earlier. Then, the moment he walks into one of the classrooms, something stops him cold. A stack of chairs that had been carefully arranged on top of a desk comes crashing to the floor the instant he enters. He searches the room immediately, but finds absolutely nobody. When he later goes back through the security footage, he spots even more unsettling details, and the following night, things escalate.
Oigan, miren, no sé si alcancen a ver allí la ventana. Ahí, que se vean, ¿sí ven? Ven. ¿Se alcanzan a ver la sombra?
On the other side of a glass door, a dark, shadowy figure flickers into view for just a fraction of a second before disappearing behind the wall. Ever since that night, these incidents have become increasingly frequent, and the guard now dreads clocking in for every overnight shift. So, is there something far more sinister buried in this school's history? Or is it all just fear and silence playing tricks on the mind? The following video was recorded at night by a man doing a security check on a rundown rental house on his family's property in Oklahoma, a place that had already drawn unwanted visitors before. With trail cameras set up and a front door that kept turning up open. He's armed, he's nervous, and he's filming everything in case something goes wrong. He shouts a warning into the dark as he steps inside, flashlight cutting through a debris-covered floor and a hallway that opens into an empty kitchen with cabinet doors hanging wide. He moves deeper in, scanning each room. Watch.
It's open. What the hell? It's like nothing to steal. I mean, why? Sorry guys, stepped in a damn ice cream bucket. I mean, what would they be? They're not gonna find anything in this old house. I wouldn't eat that. I wouldn't eat that. But let's go check this other bedroom. Is anybody in here? Is anybody in here? There's an attic. Oh my gosh. Come on, what the Who did that? Who's in here?
He's barely made it to the kitchen when a loud, sharp, metallic crash erupts from the room he just walked through. and his reaction is immediate, raw, and completely unfiltered. He runs back through the house and outside, flashlight swinging, shouting into the dark. Nothing's there. Now he does go back in later and finds a metal object on the floor that he thinks may have fallen and caused the sound. And if you watch him drop it again, the crash does match. But that raises its own question. If the object was already there when he first walked through, why didn't it fall then? What exactly set it off? You decide. In this next clip, 2 women are in a hospital room, room 369 to be exact, and something about that room clearly doesn't want to be ignored. You can hear one of them calling out to a colleague almost immediately, saying they need to come down because, in her words, they're experiencing a ghost. The second woman doesn't argue. She just says, "Big time," like this isn't entirely surprising to either of them. What's already happening before any of this is recorded, according to their reactions, has been enough to get them both rattled. Watch.
You need to come to 369 because we're experiencing a ghost.
Big time.
Literally.
There it goes.
Seriously, come look at this.
So if you know it, say hi.
Ethel?
Paul?
Ethel, what's wrong with you tonight? What? What's wrong, Ethel?
Where is the like?
The hospital room lights cut out and come back on repeatedly, with no one near a switch, while a loud, constant rattling sound fills the entire space. Something that sounds like plastic or metal being shaken aggressively, though the source never comes into frame. Then the television, which was off and dark, powers on by itself, first showing a blue screen before switching to an actual program. One of the women calls out the name Ethel, not once, but several times, speaking to whatever she believes is in the room as though she knows it personally, asking what's wrong with it tonight. That detail is what a lot of viewers found most unsettling, because it suggests this isn't the first time something like this has happened in that room, and that whoever Ethel is, or was, may have a history tied to that specific space. Some believe poltergeist activity of this kind, electronics and lights cycling without cause, points to a concentrated and highly agitated presence. Others think the name alone tells you everything. If you ever walked into a hospital room and the lights started going out on their own, what would you do? The following video was recorded inside Malvern Manor, a former railroad inn turned nursing home and care facility in Malvern, Iowa, a place so notorious for paranormal activity that some investigators have reportedly fled and refused to return. The investigator, who goes by Midwest Ghost Hunter, arrives at night, narrating the building's history from his car before stepping inside alone, armed with a night vision camera, an EMF meter, and a spirit box. He's already briefed himself on the named residents said to still wander the halls: Captain Jacob Coons, Gracie, Hank, Susie, Rebecca, Inez, each tied to a specific room, a specific kind of trouble. The manor has a documented history of neglect and abuse stretching back decades, and many who've studied the building believe that history is exactly what powers its hauntings. That suffering left behind doesn't simply disappear. The moment he steps through the front door, something makes itself known. Watch.
Loud thump. Thumping this wall. Oh God, it just did it again. It seems like whenever I get close to the captain's picture, that thump sound happens. Okay, I'm gonna go up to it a third time. You're gonna thump on the wall again? He's not doing it this time. Captain, if that was you,
Could you bang on that wall again? He's not doing it. I don't know. That was weird. I don't know, it could be coincidence. I mean, it is an old building, so it does make noise. But that was pretty loud and profound. I don't really know. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Oh God, talk about a scary hallway. Is there anyone here? Creepy silence. Are there any former residents still living here? Hello? Oh my God! Oh my God!
What you just watched is an investigator moving through a darkened hallway when a dark, human-shaped shadow figure peeks out from a doorway, quick, deliberate, and gone before he can process it. His scream is immediate and uncontrolled. Some viewers think it's classic residual energy, the kind of echo haunting that replays the same motion endlessly, unaware anyone is watching. Others point to the shadow figure tradition in paranormal research, entities described not as the ghost of a specific person, but as a distinct category of presence, something that observes, something that hasn't been adequately named. Skeptics will argue it's a trick of the night vision lens, a compression artifact caught mid-pan. But that explanation gets harder to hold onto when you factor in the two separate loud thuds from the wall by Captain Kuhn's portrait just minutes earlier, unprompted, while the investigator stood perfectly still. Now listen closely to what the EVP sessions pull out of the silence in Gracie's room.
Passed on. Oh my God, I just heard a voice. Grace, was that you I just heard? That sent a shiver down my spine. I am hearing her voice. I am hearing her voice in here. It's very faint, but I could definitely hear it. Grace, what do you mean when you say that the devil is after you? Who is the devil? Oh. That was a fucking deep voice. Holy shit. Oh, that was terrifying.
That deep, guttural voice, "I am the one," is what sends him backing out of the room. Before that, a male whisper says, "Get out," answered almost immediately by a female whisper saying, "Stop," as if two separate presences are having a conversation neither one intended him to hear. According to the investigator, these captures came without provocation. Gracie herself was described as a patient with split personality disorder, and some who followed cases from this building believe the layered voices reflect exactly that. Multiple identities still cycling through the same space, still in conflict. Others think the demonic register of that final voice suggests something that was never a patient at all, something that arrived later. Malvern Manor has been featured on paranormal television for exactly this reason. The activity here doesn't stay quiet for long, and it doesn't seem to care who's asking. What do you think that voice was responding to? This next video comes from what appears to be the same household across two separate recordings. A home that, based on what's captured, has been dealing with unexplained activity for some time. The first clip was recorded during the day by a man who had noticed something unusual near his daughter's bedroom, close enough that he felt the need to grab his phone and start filming. His daughter is napping in her bed at the time, completely undisturbed, while he moves carefully through the hallway and into her room, keeping his voice low so he doesn't wake her. The room is cluttered with toys, a dollhouse, a toy horse, and a pair of louvered bifold closet doors, one of which is slightly ajar. He checks on her, then turns the camera toward the closet, then back to the sleeping child. Watch.
Come on, man, she's in here sleeping. I don't know how that didn't even wake her up. Come on, man. You need to get out of her room. Dude, I'm telling you, that thing was closed, right? Come on, man. Now why is she sleeping? Man, I am good on that. You need to get out of her room. Play somewhere else. What the man? You need to stay out of her room.
The closet door slams open with a single loud bang, and his reaction is immediate. Audible shock, moving to push it shut, then backing out into the hallway. What makes this so hard to dismiss is that the sound is forceful enough to wake anyone, and yet his daughter doesn't stir once. He stands in the doorway afterward, visibly shaken, speaking directly to whatever he believes is in that room, telling it to get out and play somewhere else. Some viewers think the closet door could have been pushed by air pressure or a loose hinge, but others point out how firmly it swings open, not a slow drift, but a sudden, deliberate slam. That's not easily explained. The second recording appears to be from the same home at night. This time, the man is moving through a dimly lit hallway lined with Raggedy Ann dolls and a large porcelain clown figure. Watch closely. pressure, or sounds coming from somewhere else. But if something really is moving through that home, there's one question that becomes difficult to ignore. Why does it keep happening around the rooms where people are sleeping? This next clip was recorded at 3 a.m. inside what appears to be a dark residential hallway, the only light coming from a flashlight cutting through the darkness as the person filming moves slowly toward a closed interior door. For a moment, everything seems quiet, the kind of quiet that only exists at 3 in the morning when the rest of the house is asleep. But then you hear it, a violent, rhythmic banging coming from behind that door, so aggressive and forceful that the entire door frame visibly bows and shudders with each impact. Watch. The moment the door gets opened, everything stops. Dead silence, just an empty wooden staircase leading down into a dark basement, with one single, sharp bang echoing from somewhere at the bottom. Whatever was on the other side went quiet the instant it was seen. The door gets slammed shut, and within seconds, the banging returns, louder and more violent than before, as if the interruption only made it angrier. That detail is what troubles people most. The stopping when the door opens and the immediate return once it's closed, it behaves with awareness. It knew the door was opening. Some believe this is classic poltergeist behavior, an entity known specifically for producing extreme physical disturbances, slamming, shaking, and targeting enclosed spaces like doors and walls. Skeptics point to a trapped animal, though nothing visible appeared on that staircase. So what do you think was behind that door? The following clips all come from the same household, a Spanish-speaking woman who, at this point, seems less frightened by what's happening around her and more genuinely fed up with it. The activity has been building for a while, and she's started filming it, which is both brave and telling, because what she's been capturing is hard to dismiss. In the first clip, she's up late at night waiting for bread to rise when she starts hearing noises coming from the living room. She films herself, announces she's alone, walks through to show the empty room, and then turns back toward the kitchen. Watch.
Esperando a que leo del pan, pero se empezaron a escuchar ruidos en la parte del living. Y estoy sola. No hay nadie. Miren. Literalmente no. Qué pesado, hermano. Qué ganas de romper las bolas que tiene. No, es muy rompebolas.
The metal kitchen utensils, hanging from the rack above the counter, are swinging on their own. Spatulas, a large spoon, scissors, all of them clanking and hitting each other in a rhythmic pattern, with nobody near them. Her reaction isn't screaming. She sounds annoyed, like this has happened before, and she's running out of patience for it. That kind of exasperated tone is actually one of the more telling details here, because it suggests she's moved past the fear stage entirely. Many who followed cases like this point to that shift, from terror to frustration, as a sign that the activity has been going on long enough to feel almost routine. Some believe this type of poltergeist behavior, objects moving in the kitchen specifically, is connected to residual emotional energy, the idea that strong feelings tied to a space over time can build up and manifest physically. Others are more skeptical and would argue air pressure from an opened window, or a distant vibration could set hanging utensils in motion, though explaining all of them swinging at once is a harder sell. Not long after, she and a companion return home one night from what she describes as a session, some kind of spiritual gathering, to find something waiting for them. Watch.
Llegamos a la sesión y en la pieza, la cual estaba apagada, está las luces LED prendidas y no sé si alcanzan a ver esa silueta, sombra, no sé qué carajo es, pero hay alguien parada en la pieza y estamos literalmente nosotros dos acá. Estamos los dos acá, no hay chance de que alguien esté en la pieza, porque no hay nadie en la casa. No me parece casualidad que lo esté haciendo después de salir de la sesión. Igual la chica me dijo que esto podía pasar. Miren, para que vean que de verdad no hay nadie, subimos lo más rápido que pudimos y no hay nadie en la casa. No, encima miren, el control está en la cama. No, qué bronca. Y ni siquiera lo puedo pagar.
Looking up at the building from the street, one window on an upper floor is glowing a solid red, and inside it, a dark head and shoulders silhouette is visible. But according to her, they're both standing outside on the street, and no one else has a key. There's another detail that many viewers missed on their first watch. Near the lower portion of the illuminated window, a much smaller figure, roughly the size of a young child or baby, appears to be present as well. When she switches on a light while continuing to film, the smaller shape briefly becomes reflected in the window, making it appear even more defined before disappearing into the glare. Whether those silhouettes were nothing more than reflections layered across the window, or whether someone, or something, was already inside the apartment waiting for them, is a question the footage never answers. In the next clip, she's in her bedroom during the day, starting to talk into her phone, when something off-camera catches her attention and she stops mid-sentence. Listen closely.
Buenas, ¿Qué hincha huevo? ¿Qué es, por favor? No, qué rompebola.
The bedroom door, which had been fully open, slams shut on its own with serious force, while she's standing in the next room watching it. No one is near it. Same house, same woman, same reaction. It's almost like she's dealing with a recurring presence that knows how to get on her nerves. That pattern of minor but deliberate disturbances, things chosen for their noise or their disruption, rather than their danger, lines up with what's often described as low-level, intelligent haunting, activity that's reactive rather than random. The bedroom activity doesn't stop there. A static camera left on overnight in the same room, this time with another person in the bed, catches two separate things happening without anyone noticing. Watch closely.
Llegar como que ya con eso. No, mira, esto es algo serio, tengo que hacer. Bueno, adivina dónde terminó yendo. Claro. A mi casa, porque obviamente que al garchadero yo, mira, mis ángeles guías en el garchadero, no.
No pasó, no, está bien. Y ahora, bueno, como a mí no me puedo hacer rezos la media hora, a estar rezando.
Claro, en el garchadero. No.
Bueno, que es el espacio de mi casa, el espacio devocional.
No, pero escúchame, porque el garchadero es así.
Sí, pero es comodísimo, tiene una cama, tiene todo lo que se necesita, se puede acostar. Lo que no se puede...
If you focus on the mirror, what appears to be a dark figure briefly passes through the reflection before disappearing. No one in the room reacts, and there's nothing visible in the bedroom itself that clearly accounts for the movement. The mirror immediately became the center of the discussion. In many paranormal traditions, mirrors are believed to be more than ordinary household objects. Folklore from several cultures describes them as symbolic gateways or bridges through which spirits or negative entities can manifest. For that reason, some spiritual practitioners specifically advise against placing mirrors directly opposite or in front of a bed, believing they can encourage unwanted paranormal activity. Some even warn that simply covering a mirror isn't enough, claiming that whatever is attached to it could uncover the covering or continue to use it regardless. There is, however, no scientific evidence supporting these beliefs, and many people regard them purely as cultural folklore. But according to the person sharing these clips, that wasn't the only time something appeared in the room. On another night, the same bedroom is once again being recorded by a static camera while she sleeps peacefully, completely unaware that anything unusual is happening. Watch. A tall, dark, clearly defined head and shoulders silhouette appears in the glass of the bedroom window, leaning into view from the right edge of the pane and holding its position while the person in the bed sleeps completely unaware. It's darker than any ambient reflection in the room, and it has a shape that's unmistakably human. Whether that figure is a trick of light, someone outside, or something else entirely, what's harder to ignore is that across all of these clips, the same home, the same woman, the same building irritation, whatever is in that space appears to be sticking around. But the bigger question isn't just what that reflection is, it's whether any of this is going to stop. Now in this next clip, a woman in Florida is home alone on what looks like an ordinary afternoon. Daylight streaming through the windows, her little dog Tula sitting calmly on the stairs, when she starts hearing something she can't explain. A music box melody, high-pitched and tinkling, playing clearly from somewhere inside the house. No one else is home. She picks up her phone and starts moving through the hallway, searching. Listen closely.
I'm home by myself. No, I don't think so. Tula, what was that? Oh, no. No, because I'm about to sit on the porch, don't call it. Absolutely not.
The music plays for nearly half a minute before cutting off mid-melody, not fading, not winding down, just stopping. And that alone is unsettling. She checks every corner of the room, asks her dog Tula what it was, finds nothing that could account for it. No toy, no device, nothing. Music boxes aren't supposed to start on their own, and they're not supposed to stop like that either, mid-note, as if something decided it was done. Some viewers think a spirit was making itself known, drawn to the familiar comfort of a child's melody. Others suggest an attachment to the holiday decorations or the home itself. She doesn't wait around to find out. By the end of the clip, she's already unlocking the front door. So what do you think was playing that music, and why did it stop the second she got close enough to find it? Now in this next video, a couple say they've been hearing something that makes no sense at all. The sound of a baby crying coming from inside their apartment. Not outside, not through the walls, but from somewhere within their own home. It starts suddenly, continues for a few seconds, and then stops completely. And the strangest part is, it happens every single night. Watch this.
Hey. Yeah. Did you hear baby crying? No, I opened the door. Oh, I thought that's why you opened the door. I heard it crying a long time in here.
According to the husband, Austin, the cry lasted longer that night than it ever had before. They checked every room and every corner, but found nothing. If it were a neighbor's baby, they would have recognized the direction, but each time, the sound feels contained, like it exists in their space and nowhere else. At first, the couple tried to see it as a positive sign. Some cultures believe hearing a phantom baby cry can symbolize incoming life, a spiritual sign that a child may soon enter the family, but others warn about much darker meanings. In paranormal folklore, disembodied crying, especially of infants, is often associated with entities that mimic vulnerability to draw attention. Spirits that imitate babies are believed to trigger instinctive emotional responses, lowering fear and making people more receptive to their presence. There's also the unsettling connection to stories like La Llorona, an entity known for using the sound of crying children to lure people closer. But what unsettles this couple the most isn't just the crying, it's the fact that it happens at the same time, every single night. So should they see it as a hopeful sign or a warning? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Now in this next clip, two girls, friends by the sound of it, are messing around in a bedroom late at night, trying to climb onto the top bunk the hard way, one standing on the other's shoulders. It's the kind of silly, chaotic moment that gets filmed because it's funny, nothing more. One of them falls, they both end up on the floor in hysterics, and the girl in the red shirt is laughing so hard she can barely breathe. According to her, the video was posted to Facebook as a funny clip and sat there for weeks before anyone noticed anything. Then someone in the comments asked a question that stopped her cold. Watch. Right there, a pale, slender hand with noticeably long fingers reaches out from behind her left shoulder, grips the lower rail of the bunk bed, and then pulls back out of sight. Neither girl reacts. They couldn't have. According to her, neither of them even knew it was there until someone pointed it out weeks later. If you slow it down and watch the moment carefully, there's no angle that puts either girl's arm in that position. Her own left hand is clearly visible and accounted for. Some viewers think it's a third person just out of frame, though the room and camera angle make that difficult to explain. Others go somewhere darker entirely, pointing to the fact that just before the hand appears, she'd been yelling, "Help me," over and over, and something, it seems, may have answered. The following video was recorded inside a small frozen yogurt shop sometime after closing by a man who'd been dealing with unexplained activity in the building for a while. Flickering lights, strange sounds, the kind of persistent low-level strangeness that you can almost convince yourself to ignore until you can't anymore. On this particular night, he and a woman he works with were still inside after hours trying to retrieve her keys from the back room, and he decided to pull his phone out and film what was happening. He mentions, almost in disbelief, that the lights had already started flickering again, and this wasn't the first time.
Okay guys, we were literally just about to leave my store when shit just started flickering again. This is the second time it's happened. My car's over there, and
I'm shaking right now.
okay, and her keys are in the bag.
We need to go. We need to go get my keys.
And the light turned on.
I don't want to go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna literally record this whole thing just so you guys can see what happened. I'm literally so scared. Okay, okay, something. The bathroom light's on too.
Bro, why are my keys on the floor? They were not there. Like, I deadass put them on the desk. Like, oh my god.
This is literally insane.
The crash erupts out of nowhere from somewhere deeper in the building. No visible source, no explanation, and what follows is pure chaos. Both of them sprinting toward the back office in a full panic, but then they find her keys lying on the floor. She's insistent that she left them on the desk, and the man confirms he didn't see them there either. That alone is unsettling. Displaced objects are one of the most commonly reported signs of poltergeist-type activity, the kind of presence that doesn't just make noise, but physically interacts with the environment, moving things deliberately, as if to be noticed. Then, it got worse. The second clip picks up shortly after, with the two of them still inside, watching the security monitors in the back office while the cameras around the store continue to flicker. They decide they need to leave. They're already nearly an hour past closing, and as they make their way toward the exit, something comes flying out of the darkness right past the camera. Watch.
Okay guys, we've been sitting in the back for like 20 minutes now, and we're just watching the cameras and stuff is still flickering and going on, but nothing happened back here, and we need to go home, and this is so freaking terrifying.
We're 50 minutes past our shift because of this shit.
We closed at 10, so we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it, stop it. Oh, fuck.
Okay, this is what I mean. This room is over. This is.
Oh my god.
This is what we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yeah, what the bro, Nick, did you this on purpose? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick.
Stop! You're literally. Are you?
No, wait, no. Nah.
No. We literally looked away for like 2 seconds.
You can see it cut through the frame before clattering off screen, and both of them bolt straight for the door. The nervous laughter outside is the kind that comes when you're too shaken to process what just happened any other way. But the most unsettling detail comes when he turns the camera back through the glass front door. 2 metal chairs that were upright moments earlier are now tipped over on the floor, and neither of them touched them. He says he only looked away for a few seconds. Poltergeist cases like this one tend to follow a pattern where the activity doesn't just repeat, it escalates, becoming more physical and more direct over time, as though whatever is present is testing how much it can do before someone finally leaves. He says he's planning to do an overnight stay to try to make contact. What do you think will happen if he does? This next video was recorded inside a family home using 2 mounted security cameras, one in a bedroom, one in the dining room, and the footage spans 2 separate dates in February of 2026, both captured in the early hours of the morning. In the bedroom clip, recorded just after 2 a.m., an older woman, a younger woman, and a child are all asleep, completely still. Nothing in the room is moving. Listen closely. A quiet, disembodied male-sounding voice is heard whispering a name, Naneng, into a room where everyone is asleep. Then in the dining room, footage recorded just after 5 a.m., the same kind of voice speaks again in an empty room, saying the name Len, seconds before a teenage girl walks out of a hallway door on her own. And back in the bedroom, at the exact same timestamp, the voice speaks once more, this time with what sounds like a questioning inflection, calling out while the entire family remains completely unconscious. So if you listen carefully, something is calling their names, and not one of them heard it. Now in this next clip, a man is walking through a large concrete drainage tunnel, the kind covered in graffiti, with a shallow stream running along the floor, when something in the darkness ahead stops him cold. He'd gone in alone, recording on his phone, moving through the echoing pipe with nothing but the ambient glow of his camera lighting the way. The tunnel stretched ahead of him, dark and narrow, and for a moment everything seemed quiet. Then, at around the 15-second mark, a sharp metallic clicking sound echoes out from somewhere deep in the darkness. He stops walking. He calls out, "Watch."
What the hell? Hello?
What answers him back isn't a person. A low, guttural sound, somewhere between a growl and a distorted whisper, rolls back through the tunnel in response to his voice. And then, as his eyes adjust to the darkness, you can make out the shape standing at the far end. Tall, impossibly thin, 2 points of white light where the eyes should be. The enhanced replay at the end makes it even harder to dismiss. The figure's limbs are long and spindly, its skin pale and gaunt, and it stands completely motionless right up until the moment it lunges and lets out a sustained, piercing shriek that sounds nothing like a human being. He runs. A lot of viewers immediately called it a crawler, a modern internet label for pale, thin, humanoid figures, reported in isolated tunnels and underground spaces, usually described by their unnatural proportions and the way they move. Others think the glowing eyes point to something else entirely, something that doesn't fit neatly into any category. Skeptics argue it could be a person with a torch, but that explanation gets harder to hold onto when you hear what came out of that tunnel. So what exactly was standing in the dark, waiting? The following video was recorded inside a 1920s home during the daytime, which, honestly, makes it harder to dismiss than most. The man filming had been upstairs watching TV when he heard a banging sound coming from the living room below. He says there's nobody else in the house. As he makes his way down the stairs and through the hallway, past taxidermy, Venetian masks, old framed pictures, and a crucifix on the wall, he mentions that some of his haunted objects from a previous home are now kept here, though nothing has ever happened with them. He calls out into the empty rooms, no response, just the steady ticking of a grandfather clock and the feeling that something is waiting. Watch.
It's banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here. but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh. Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa. I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I am getting out of here. What the hell?
Two events hit almost back to back. A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantel flaps its wings suddenly, then the door slams shut on its own with a heavy metallic crash. Then in the dining room, a chair is violently thrown backward across the floor. He screams. He's done. If you look at how quickly these events escalate, bird, door, chair, all within about a minute, it fits a pattern that paranormal researchers often describe as poltergeist behavior, where physical objects are moved or thrown with what seems like deliberate, escalating force. The term poltergeist comes from the German for noisy ghost, and what makes these cases distinct is the physical aggression, not just shadows or sounds, but objects acting against gravity. Skeptics will say the taxidermy bird could be mechanical, that the door and chair could be rigged, but his reaction, the shaky hands, the swearing, the decision to just leave, that's difficult to fake convincingly. He even notes a second chair had shifted by the time he looked back. So what set it all off? Now in this next clip, a man is filming inside his home just 3 days after losing his brother Chris. And what you're about to witness isn't terrifying, so much as it is deeply unsettling in a quiet, personal way. He's moving through a dimly lit room at night, emotional but calm, speaking directly to his brother's presence as if Chris might actually be listening. At one point, he stops the camera on a child's plastic toy kitchen set sitting against the wall, green and white, completely still. He asks softly, "Is that you, Chris? Do it again. Watch."
That's you, Chris. Do it again. I feel your presence, bro. I feel your presence. Do it again. Holy shitballs.
What did I miss?
The burner on the toy stove lights up with a flashing red glow and emits an electronic sizzling sound. Then, after it goes quiet, he says it again. Do it again, and the toy activates a second time, this time playing a completely different sound sequence. Many people who've experienced grief report moments exactly like this one, where an object associated with family or routine seems to respond at just the right moment. Others think the timing is too precise to dismiss. You decide. This next video was recorded inside a cluttered garage, filmed by a man who had been about to lock up for the night when something stopped him. He claims that just before he started recording, he heard a laugh coming from the back of the garage. Not a voice, not a knock, but a laugh. And he describes it as the most unnerving, weird laugh he's ever heard, seeming to come from somewhere near one of the riding mowers. So instead of leaving, he pulled out his phone and started moving through the space, sweeping the light across the concrete floor, the shelves, the equipment, trying to find any explanation for what he'd just heard. He hadn't found anything yet. Watch.
Alright, so I was just closing this up. Like just locking it up to head out. And I closed the bay and I was closing this door. I shut the lights off, getting ready to close this door, and heard, I swear, I heard a laugh. And it was the most unnerving, and it was such a weird laugh. It sounded like it was coming from that back mower, like something was sitting on that back mower. I should have left it alone. I don't even know what that was, where it came from, where it went. But I'm not sticking around to find out, so I'm out of here. Screw this. I'm out of here. I am not sticking around.
A sudden, sharp, metallic crash explodes off-screen with enough force to make him physically flinch, and when he swings the light toward the source, there's nothing there. No fallen object, no obvious cause, nothing on the floor that wasn't there before. His voice afterward is shaky, and you can hear him repeating that he should have just left, that he doesn't know where the sound came from or where it went. Some think residual energy in cluttered, closed-off spaces can build tension and release it violently, almost like pressure finding an outlet. And the laugh he heard before he even started filming, that detail is hard to shake. What exactly was waiting for him in that garage? This next clip was recorded by a woman at night, sitting in her car, describing something she'd witnessed inside her home. And what makes it so hard to dismiss is the detail she kept coming back to. She explains that on the same day she played Surah al-Baqarah, one of the most protective recitations in Islamic tradition, through the house, she passed by her children's room and noticed one of the toys doing something she couldn't explain. Her daughter's Peppa Pig stuffed toy lying on the bed. Watch.
I put Baqarah in my house. That same day, I am like just passing by my kid's room, and basically I see one of the toys doing this. Now, when I first saw it, I thought, are you really seeing things? Because ain't no way that thing is moving its eyes. There is no way it's moving its eyes. Does that make sense? No, it does not. This is your child's little toy that they always love and sleep with. My daughter loves it. That thing is her life, okay? My daughter and that monkey chump are the same. She loves that little toy. So I'm like, ain't no way, it has to be my eyes. So I'm looking at it, my son comes, he's also looking at it. Both of us are like looking at each other. We're like, oh, I don't know, let's use the camera. And then we use the camera and we see for our eyes. First time in real life, this toy was moving its eyes. What could it be? What do you guys think it is? Do you think it's Jinn?
If you look closely, the toy's plastic eye slowly rotates upward, turning, according to her, to look directly at the camera. She says she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her at first, so she called her son over, and both of them stood there watching it together before deciding to film it. Many in the Muslim community watching this immediately pointed to jinn, supernatural beings described in Islamic tradition as created from smokeless fire, capable of inhabiting objects, invisible to the naked eye, but very much present. Jinn aren't considered innately evil, but certain ones are believed to attach to children's belongings specifically. She ends the clip asking the audience the same question she still can't answer herself. What do you think it is? The following video was recorded inside a brightly lit retail store, the kind of ordinary place where the most exciting thing usually captured on security footage is someone dropping a shopping basket or knocking an item off a shelf. The store appears completely normal, with fluorescent lights illuminating every aisle, merchandise neatly arranged, and a security camera mounted high on the wall, quietly recording the sales floor. At the moment this footage was captured, there wasn't a single customer visible, no employees walking through the frame, and no obvious source for what was about to appear. Watch. A dark, semi-transparent mass, vaguely upright, vaguely human in shape, materializes, and then simply dissolves into nothing by the time it reaches the edge of the frame. You can even hear the moment it registers with the people watching the monitor. A man's voice cutting through the ambient noise in what sounds like Bulgarian, roughly translating to, "Whoa, what is that, man?" Pure shock, completely unrehearsed. Some believe shadow figures like this one are drawn to places with heavy foot traffic, absorbing residual energy from the people who pass through daily. Others think the bright fluorescent lighting actually makes this harder to dismiss as a trick of the light. So what exactly was gliding through that store? In this next clip, two men are on a video call late at night. The man on the left in a room lit with red and blue ambient lighting, the man on the right sitting in a normally lit space, both of them deep in casual conversation about heritage and family. Neither one seems to notice anything off, but in the background behind the man on the left, sitting on a shelf illuminated by a red LED strip, there's a doll, a small figure in a dark hooded sweatshirt, propped upright, completely still. Watch.
Y'all have Irish and Indian?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. She's saying braids or what?
Oh, she probably meant to put braids or dreads. Tasha's Native American? Well, I'm Hispanic. I'm from here. Is he paused?
Yeah.
While both men are mid-conversation, the doll moves, and the whole thing lasts barely a second. Neither man reacts, because neither man sees it. What makes this harder to explain is the angle. You'd need something hidden directly beneath that shelf to produce that kind of isolated movement, and nothing visible in the frame suggests that's possible. Some viewers immediately pointed to the idea of a haunted or attached object. a concept that appears across dozens of cultural traditions, where a spirit is said to anchor itself to a physical item rather than a place. Others think it's a trick of the recording. You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman who had been going through her daughter's toy camera, a small, purple thing, the kind given to young kids as a first camera, almost forgotten in a drawer, when she came across a photograph that made her stop completely. Her daughter, who was 9 at the time, had a friend over, and the two girls had been taking silly photos with it, selfies, pictures of the dog, the usual. She decided to scroll through to get a laugh. That changed everything. Watch.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, what is that?
The photograph on that tiny screen shows a tall, dark, entirely humanoid figure standing next to a reddish-brown cabinet in her kitchen. It's almost a complete silhouette. No clear features, no defined limbs, just a solid black shape that reaches well above the cabinet. In the days that followed, she sat down and recorded a longer explanation, because the more she thought about it, the less sense it made. Watch closely.
Okay, so a little explanation on that video that I just uploaded of the photo. So my daughter had a friend over yesterday, and they found a little camera, like little, like it's like this big, that was given to her for Christmas a couple years ago. Not by us, by like a family member, and she got it when she was like 5, so it's been in their house for a long time. She doesn't really use it. She plays around with it sometimes. Anyway, so they found it, and they were just taking photos, and so I decided to look at the photos today to laugh, to see like what silly photos 9-year-olds take of themselves, you know. And I'm scrolling through, and there's like cute selfies, like them playing outside, and picture of the dog, and then there's that photo. And I go back and forth between that photo and the other photos. There's no like other photos of the kitchen or anything like that. It's literally just, there's only that one photo from our kitchen. Yeah. So I'm gonna upload that photo tonight onto my computer to take a look at what that photo could possibly be, because it really makes no sense. My daughter's at school right now, so I haven't asked her what it could be. Who knows, it could be them playing around, but it looks tall for them. It's short for me. If you compare it in the doorway, it looks like it could be about 5 foot something, but it's, who knows, I'm terrible. I don't really know. I'm just pulling a number out of my ass. So yeah, fun times. Oh, and I wanted to say the date at the bottom. The date in the camera is incorrect. So I don't know why it says like 2019, but it was taken. Those photos were taken yesterday, unless it's 2019, but they were taken yesterday.
The picture.
Yesterday, so I'm scrolling, you know, and I'm like, what is that? What the is that? Like, what is that? That's right here. Excuse how like messy that is, but what is that?
She walks through everything. The girls were 9, so it couldn't have been them. And the figure looks too short to be a normal adult in that specific doorway, somewhere around 5 feet tall by her estimate. There are no other photos of the kitchen taken that day, just that one. And then she does something that really lands hard. She holds the toy camera up in the actual spot where the photo was taken, comparing the image on the screen to the real empty room in front of her, and the red cabinet is right there, exactly where it is in the photo. But whatever was standing beside it is gone. Some viewers think it could be a shadow person, a term used in paranormal communities to describe dark, featureless humanoid shapes that appear without explanation and seem to observe without interacting. Others are more skeptical, pointing to pareidolia or the low resolution of a child's camera creating shapes where none exist. But the detail that's hardest to explain away is that there are no other kitchen photos, no accidental shots, no blurry test frames, just one image, and something standing in it that shouldn't be there. So what was standing in that kitchen while two 9-year-old girls played nearby? And why is there only one photo